What is up, everybody? Welcome to the GrindTime podcast. I am your host, Adam Krautwurst, and with me is Jack Kohlscheen, the number 2 player in this tournament last season. I tricked him into co-owning a team with me this year, and we are ready to go from the 12-spot draft starting in now. 51 seconds. Now, I think. Jack, what's up, buddy? You ready to roll? Ready to?
Yep. Ready for this. Tonight? Yeah. I was down at Panthers training camp doing scouting just for this draft. So, yeah, well, getting in the extra legwork.
Yeah, we're not going to have to worry about that scouting until like round 15. So I think we're good. I think we're good there. But yeah, this is so much fun. This is the first main event, FFWC live main event of the year. Right now, Jack and I are coming at you. We're going to give you all the ADP, early ADP will be here on the stream. So check it out for sure. We're going to be going pick by pick through this entire draft. We have pick 12, which I'm more than comfortable in because every single draft I've done, every significant draft I've done has been, which is good. I'm pick 10, 11, 12 because now I'm comfy with it.
Your comfort zone, right inside your strike zone.
That's right. This is my sweet spot. So we are the Legion of Doom. Pick 12, and I am excited. $150,000 top prize to the winner of this whole thing. Jackie came in second last year. Congratulations.
Thank you,
and but the thing that I love the most about these leagues, guys, is the $10,000 league prize, the Dominator, for points and record. No other high stakes in the business is doing that, is giving out that type of ROI for the league winner. So it's gonna be tough, man. You win this league with all these dudes. It's gonna be tough. You definitely earned it, but I'm excited.
It is a stacked room tonight. It is definitely stacked. So if we get that Dominator, that says something.
That's right. So super excited. But chalk so far, right? Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, Tyreek Hill, Christian McCaffrey, Cooper Kupp, Austin Eckler. That's pretty chalk. But then pick 7, A.J. Brown. What do you think about that, Jack? That was a guy we were thinking about for pick 12.
It was. It's certainly a bold stance, but at the same time, I get it because I think there's a lot of arguments to be made about the untapped potential of the Philadelphia offense. Them basically second half of most games last year just running the ball down their throat because they were ahead by 14 points and didn't need to throw. So I think with a more challenging schedule, there's certainly even more meat on the bone for Philly.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I want all parts and pieces of that Philly offense. So yeah, it's gonna be good so far. What do we? I mean, we don't want to give up too much here because we're on the clock soon. But there goes Stefan Diggs again. Chalk. Jack, you want to talk to everybody and listen about what type of roster construction we got for this? Quarterbacks, running backs, receivers.
Sure. So you're starting single quarterback, 2 running backs, 3 wide receivers. One of the unique parts of the FFWC is both 3 wide and then also 2 flexes. And then defense and kicker, unfortunately. And a tight end.
I know. Listen, I think Scott is okay with getting rid of those, but everybody else we got some other people that aren't so keen on that. But I like the idea of getting rid of that stuff. But maybe next year.
You're on the
Stephon
clock.
Diggs, CeeDee Lamb, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Travis Kelce almost gets to us at 12. What are we thinking here? Kelce goes at the 11. What are we thinking?
On
the clock.
Bijan, Saquon, Devontae, Garrett Wilson available.
I like a couple of guys. I like Wilson. I like Bijan. I know you were Adams as well. What do you think?
Let's go Wilson.
Wilson, thank you for that.
We talked about that. Yep.
Definitely
amicable. We're going to trade back and forth here and negotiate. I give you some of you want. Now, for the second pick,
since you gave me Wilson, I'm okay with letting you do whatever you want here. We talked Bijan, we talked Adams. I'll let you make. I'm good with either one of them. We're thinking big picture too. Like, are many teams going to have these type of builds? Go ahead. Talk it through.
I'm interested in Bijan. Kind of tempted for Waddle, but I think because of the upside of that offense. But you know what? I think based on structure and how we've kind of discussed how we'd like our team to unfold, I'm going to go Adams.
Do it.
Unless I accidentally auto-pick the wrong pick. There we go.
There we go. Okay.
Wilson Adams.
So
very on brand.
Yeah, very on brand. Talk to me. You know, we discussed it. You said you were high on Adams. We did our little rankings before the show. I got my guy. You got your guy. I love Garrett Wilson. You know, it was funny. It was all over, not all over, but there was a couple of tweets today I was on a different show talking about Garrett Wilson. I think he could go as high as wide receiver 4 this season. I love Garrett Wilson. He's going to have, 6 touchdowns from the 1 yard line this year. But so I love him. That was my guy. Adams is your guy. Talk to me about Adams.
I think there's a lot of overreactions with Adams. The guy has not been a wide receiver. He's been a wide receiver 1 since 2017. In the past several years, it's been like the top 4, I believe, wide receivers. He's consistent no matter what. 30-point game with Jarrett Stidham. He's just fine with Derek Carr. I don't think Jimmy Garoppolo is necessarily an upgrade, but I don't think he's that much of a downgrade from Derek Carr when Derek Carr had a subpar Derek Carr season last year. And, all things being considered, he can perform under anything. So, I think it's one of those cases of not overthinking it. The guy is a freak of nature and has performed, and I'm going to continue to take him until he shows me otherwise.
Yeah. To me, I'm perfectly fine with Adams as wide receiver 10. I think that is perfectly fine. I mean, I'm not on Adams as much as you are this year, but again, with the tier where we're getting him ahead of Waddle, of course, wide receiver 10 is fine. It's the decision to where do we want our roster construction to look like, and you rattled off, but right before we took that pick of 2 running backs, 3 receivers, 2 flex, we can start up to 5 receivers. And the highest scoring players over the last 10 years in PPR are wide receivers, not the top guys. The top guys are still running backs. But I think Adams, getting those 2 wide receivers right there already out of the way, I think was really big for us. The only other player, which we talked about earlier, that we could have gone with there for me would have been Bijan Robinson. He falls to the 204, which I think is some great value. He goes as RB5. I haven't seen him go RB5. Someone loves Tony Pollard there at the 11 spot. Very, very interesting. Pollard, Barkley, Robinson go at the 202, 203, 204. Where would you rank those 3 guys?
I would go Bijan, Pollard, Saquon. That
interesting.
Would be
so Pollard over Saquon. Why the Saquon hate? Just like injury stuff, offense stuff?
If you actually look at the numbers, he hasn't he's never really returned to the efficiency, his pre-injury history of efficiency. He got there last year on volume. I think he's going to continue to get a lot of volume, although the Darren Waller acquisition certainly opens up new options for the Giants so that they're not having to be quite so dependent. But I think Pollard has the untapped potential and upside that we haven't fully seen when he's given a backfield largely of his own instead of in a very 50-50 timeshare with all the red zone looks going to Zeke. I think there's still more room to grow, whereas Saquon is going to be more volume dependent.
Yeah, I'd like to see Saquon take it. I mean, we won't know till we see him, but another year off the injury, hopefully he can get some of that burst back. But that'll be interesting. So Barkley, Robinson, Jalen Waddle, then Devonta Smith, then Nick Chubb, and Jonathan Taylor, Chris Olave, T. Higgins. Pretty chalky, which is fine in the second half. And when we say chalk, this is the first draft of the main event season. But Jack and I have been doing this. We haven't stopped. So
to an unhealthy level.
But in comparison to like the Las Vegas Circa Championships, it's been very similar to that, outside of kind of Kelsey falling to the 11 spot and Bijan kind of falling to the mid-second, which I'm sure Team 8 is happy about that, or 9 is happy about that. But running backs going a little higher in this draft than we're kind of used to seeing, huh, Jack?
Yeah, and that that could be either since we're still in the second round, hard to tell. Overall roster, that could be the start of a hero build, or that could be a more robust RB take. The sixth spot there with Eckler and Chubb, two great running backs. That may be the start of a running back onslaught, or they may not touch it for the next 10 rounds. Another green sticker. So we'll just have to see how that plays out.
Yep. Totally. And again, the cool thing about playing on the FFWC is it's the unique structure, right? The being able to start five receivers. It's not tight end premium. It's none of that stuff. It's not super flex. At least the main event isn't. So you've got tight ends sometimes get pushed down, quarterbacks sometimes get pushed down, receivers get pushed up. So it's like a different kind of build. Kind of almost similar to like an underdog type of build, except receivers in this get full PPR. So it's going to be interesting to see. Kind of the toughest spot for me in drafts that I've done has been at this like 11-12 hole at the 3-4 turn. But we discussed that turn pretty extensively before the show. So we have a plan. One of the guys we were hoping to get, Jahmyr Gibbs. Well, a guy I was hoping to get. I think you knew he wasn't going to be there, but a guy I was hoping to get went at the 3-0.
Aspirationally hoping.
I know. And I think he's a guy, Jack. We talked about this. I think it was with you maybe a couple weeks ago, or it might have been with Mike Shope, or both of you. That
probably both.
He's a guy that's going to be my main event season, September, and he especially with the free look on Thursday night. So people don't understand, if you're watching this too, is we don't have to set our lineups till after Thursday night football. We get the free look at the Detroit Lions and the Chiefs. With that free look and all the other question marks on all the other running backs, Gibbs is going to move up, maybe even to late second. Here he is at the 301.
Yeah, especially for any drafts that take place after the Thursday night game. I could easily see Gibbs flying up the board after a big game. The Lions are a little short, playing against Kansas City Chiefs, going to be a high-scoring game. So, you see a blow-up, and all of a sudden he's racing up the draft board. But, yeah, the sneak peek is another great feature of the FFWC. Just a lot of fun, bit of strategy, and really a great game for it to take place on this year with Chiefs and Lions. Just a fun opportunity and another little wrinkle to try to get that edge in the first week.
Yes, yeah, for sure. And I think that's sometimes that's a tiebreaker for me. And it's interesting when you draft after the Thursday night game, like, do you want to load up on guys that are get locked in points? It's interesting stuff like that. So, but yeah, Gibbs is a guy that I'm going to have quite a bit of. And so I'm excited about that. But we are on the clock coming up here soon. Let's see how the third round went. Jahmyr Gibbs, Jerry Jeudy, Kelvin Ridley, DK Metcalf, Joe Mixon, Amari Cooper, Mixon early. I mean, running backs are going early in this draft.
There's no fear in here of any issues with holdouts or contracts or injury. And there's
listen, the people in here have their flags planted. They have their flags planted on these guys, and they're ready to go. So we'll see. Keenan Allen goes off the board here. I'm gonna pull the curtain back for a second and take a look at some of these players here. And again, you and I talked, so we kind of know where our head is at going into these picks. So I don't want to give too much away.
We're thinking kicker.
That's right. Is this team? Thank God it's team kicker, or else I'd push it down a little bit.
Yes.
Team kicker, especially Lions with the free look.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Can't turn that down.
I love it. I'm excited. Let's go here. Coming up. All right, we're up in. Man, we're still up in like 4 picks. I feel like it's. Okay.
Fits and spurts.
Yeah, that's right. So a lot of yellow. DJ Moore off the board. A guy that we weren't going to take at the 3-4. We discussed that. Although I am a little higher. I mean, we can kill some time here. I think I'm a little higher on DJ Moore than you are. Maybe we could talk about it a little more after our pick. I just think that there's a mini pre-Eagles breakout like they did Jalen Hurts. Is he the starting quarterback? Is he not? What do we have in him? They add weapons, and all of a sudden Hurts explode. I think DJ Moore could be that, like, He's not as good as A.J. Brown, but he could be that spark, that Devonta Smith, A.J. Brown type spark to an offense. I think he's a guy that Fields can buy time and hit DJ Moore. I think he's better than people give him credit for. I think he's still only 22 years old, right, Jack? I mean, everyone's always saying he's always so young.
Right. To me, he's just. I have serious concerns about the volume that he's going to get. People always go to Atlanta as the example of not passing. That was actually Chicago last year more than anything. And then on top of that, I think it's just I hesitate when there's that strong narrative of young running quarterback gets a weapon, therefore it's going to be the same result. DJ Moore is not Stephon Diggs or A.J. Brown, and Justin Fields is not Hurts.
You're on the clock.
What?
Oh.
Freaking Watson again.
All right.
We got sniped, but here we go. We got one in Watson. All right.
What
are we thinking?
There's Brees on the board. I know we talked about him.
Yep.
Debo's still there. Open to your thoughts.
I definitely like Brees. I think he's a guy that we talked about. I could see him going much higher in this format in a couple of weeks if the news turns out right. He's a guy that could end up going at the 2-3 turn if they don't sign Cook. So I think I like Brees, and I also like Debo too. I know you talked about Debo. He's a guy that I would certainly take here too.
All right, so we just took Brees, and
I'm okay with Debo. Do you want to discuss Andrews, or are we on Debo? I'm fine with Debo.
I feel good Debo here.
All right, let's do it.
Let's let Andrews slide.
Okay, fine, perfect. Oh, Watson's a heartbreaker, but listen, I'm actually glad Watson was gone because it allowed us to agree on two guys. Because if Watson was still there, we would have had Watson and Debo and Brees Hall. We would have had to figure out.
I feel like that's coping. That's coping.
That's I'm coping. I'm watching coping. Oh no. That sucks. That Watson went there. But listen, that's where he's been going. Wide receiver 22. I mean, I can't really complain. That's what happens when you pick 12 behind guys who know what they're doing. But yeah, listen, Wilson. Oh, there goes Mark Andrews. Double tight end. Hold on.
Interesting. Bully tight end.
Hold on a minute. Now I'm annoyed. He should have taken freaking Mark Andrews to pick and switched it. Oh my God.
I like it.
All right, let's talk real quick. Let's talk our pick, Brees Hall. This is a guy that we talked about before the show. Dalvin Cook, like what's taking? You and I both believe that maybe he's using the Jets as leverage to get more out of Miami or out of a different team. Why isn't he signed there yet? Miami offered him something. He said no. They don't need Dalvin Cook there. I think they just want somebody for the first 3 or 4 games to let Brees Hall chill, which I'm fine. If they come out today and said, hey, listen, we're signing Zeke Elliott and Brees Hall is going to go on the pup for 4 weeks, I would still have taken him at the 3-4 turn. Mm-hmm. Let the guy rest. We're going to get some running backs later. I'm okay with that. I'm not afraid of Dalvin Cook signing there because I don't think he's going to at this point. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I agree. Like you said, Miami gave him the offer. He declines the offer, waits a week, goes out and does the visit. I feel like if he was interested in signing, he got the full treatment, he probably would have signed. And if anything, he's got to be looking at, the rest of his career, the chance for additional money. And, he, like you said, he's getting the early season at most from the Jets. He's not out competing Brees Hall over the course of the year. Whereas team like Miami, he could theoretically start the entire year and be kind of the lead back in that situation, rejuvenate his career in that way and go home. So, obviously they're playing it safe with Brees Hall. And so as we build out this team, we've got to have the expectation that he's not going to be the Brees Hall that, pre-injury where he left off in week 1. But I'm confident in our ability to build around that and take advantage of the second half of the season emergence of Brees Hall in particular.
And listen, Brees Hall, if there was no injury last year, I know we could play this game, but if there was no injury last year, he'd be going in the first round.
Absolutely.
He'd be a first-round running back. So if I'm getting a first-round running back from week 4 to the end of the season, and I know I can kind of plan around that, I love it. Debo Samuel, I like him in that range of – guys, I would have liked Watson better, But other than Watson, I like Debo there. He again, when all the 49ers are healthy, they all struggle to really dominate. But when one of them goes down, the rest of them are fine. And Debo was disgusted with the way that he played last year. He's his own greatest critic. Where are you at Debo? I love him. I had a Christian Kirk. I mean, he was our wide receiver 3 2 years ago, or wide receiver 2.
He's one of my favorite picks. And it's because even when CMC was there, if you actually look, you're still getting he still performed and had led the league that led the team in targets. It was really Kittle that took the back seat once CMC was there. He also, by far, compared to Ayuk, is the first read option if you look at how the plays break down in that way. And, with more certainty around Brock Purdy versus the other options, I think especially as Purdy's coming back from injury, it's going to be a lot of short to intermediate throws, things in the backfield, and that's all Debo. So I think it sets it up for a great season. Also, he's got the weird odd even thing. So, it's an odd year, so that has to work. I'm pretty sure it's science.
It is science. No, I absolutely love it. I want a guy as our wide receiver 3 who has those spike weeks. I mean, he's going to start for us every week, but he's got that wide receiver 1 potential every single week. You can't say that about, a lot of like Terry McLaurin, as much as I love Deontay Johnson. I mean, like Christian Kirk, like they're not going to have those. They don't have the upside of those Debo Samuel spike weeks. So, no, I'm definitely excited about that pick. For sure. I kind of went to plan. What are you seeing here in the third round? Anything stand out, Jack?
Everybody's catching up here on wide receivers after a more running back heavy start. You're seeing after Andrews and the bully tight end approach from the 11, you got Kirk, Hopkins, Etienne and Hurts, the first quarterback off the board. Terry, Najee, Deontay Johnson, Chris Godwin, Marquise Brown, and Brandon Ayuk, and then Tyler Lockett there. So we've got the 3 spot starting with 4 wide receivers, and then several teams with 3 and a running back. So definitely teams taking advantage of the unique format here at FFWC.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I mean, we knew there'd be this receiver run, and there it is. Teams that went running back heavy are doing it. Teams that have no running backs at all are doing it, and I think it's really cool. Something I wanted to show people too over here at the FFWC, the premium membership type stuff is this ADP information over here. You get the standard deviation, the high and the low of each player. So you go to a guy that we just took, Debo Samuel, right? It's not just about the ADP. His ADP is 30. It's about how high has he gone. He's gone as high as 24th, right, which is the end of the second, and as low as 40th, right? You can get all this information for premium subscriptions over here. That's what kind of helps you. Is it a big standard deviation? How big's the window? Is it a tight window? So I think all this stuff is stuff that we're going to be using. Again, this is for the Circa Championship because we're setting the ADP tonight for the main event, which will be a tab will be in here for that soon. But this is the ADP list, and everybody has to go check that out because it's super, super helpful for sure. And stuff that like I know, I don't know if you use their premium stuff, Jack. I know I do. It's the ADP board is super helpful. All that stuff, all the tools. No other site has these type of tools built into their draft room. I mean, it's just crazy.
No, I use the ADP list and the ADP board pretty much every day I'm doing draft prep. The list, being able to see the last 10 and just really see how it's evolved and how it's evolving, and then being able to visualize that quickly in the board so that you're able to put it up and get an idea of who's available where really helps with, planning out when you know your draft position.
Right, exactly. And so, yeah, again, no place else is doing that. This is like premium YouTube subscription membership type stuff here. Don't forget, everyone, please like and subscribe to the YouTube channel here because we're doing live drafts. This probably won't be my own. I might even do another one of these live. I don't know if Jack wants to show another one of his live, but I just love doing it. I love talking about it. Like and I totally get people. We're in this for the money. But it's fun, and it's fun to like help people, and it's fun to talk about it. And I just love the I love the camaraderie and the network of people here at the FFWC. Sure. So, all right, little quarterback run here. Mahomes, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson. Hurts obviously goes to the AJ Brown, Devonta Smith team earlier in the fourth round here. Quarterback could be an option for us here, Jack. There's only been 2 tight ends off the board. A couple of players here we're looking at.
Yeah, and certainly, where we're at in the draft, we've got down here at the end, we're making the 2 picks, but then with the room we've got, there's not a lot of falling values, and so really it's looking ahead to the round ahead and seeing who you might need to reach out and get.
Right.
Because nobody's falling here.
Yeah. So interesting. This team 11. We forgot to talk about this. Kelsey Andrews, double tight end thing here. I mean, it's not tight end premium. So, I mean, tight ends usually fall. Do you think this is a team construction, like no one else is going to do this tournament type thing for team 11?
Yeah, it certainly could be that, and it's got an aspect of that. I think it could also just as well be, really playing for the league. Like we're talking about the fantastic ROI at the league level, and really denying the rest of the league to the elite tight end options. Really puts yourself at an edge, at least in those positions. So it could be a play for the league and that Dominator prize.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a tough one there to get Mark Andrews up to, got to start in the flex every week. Although I guess Andrews could put up, if people's flexes are weak, Andrews could certainly compete there for sure. But we'll see how the rest of the roster turns out. I feel like they might be behind at some of the other positions.
Jordan Addison just goes. We're on the clock.
Of course, sniped again by team 11. Addison was the guy we were looking at. So Hawkinson, is he holding in, Jack, or no? I heard some whispers of that.
I've heard it too, but nothing necessarily confirmed, and nothing that scares me off it. I think I think there's a big drop after those top 3, obviously in a tier of their own, Kelsey and then Andrews, but I think Hawk is the closest thing to being able to compete at the elite tight end level. So that's my vote.
Okay, go Hawkinson. Get that pick out of the way.
All right.
And then so here we've got, receivers that are kind of meh. And then we have running backs. I mean, what do we have? We've got I'm trying to
Ken Walker has fallen a bit.
We've got wide receiver 37 against RB 17. That type of deal. Are you still want to go receiver here?
Open. I like Cooks here. But we could also go somebody like Kenneth Walker or Alexander Madison. What do you think?
I would go. Let's go receiver again. I'm fine with receiver because receiver dries up quick. Like by the time it gets back,
do you have a particular one?
No, pick one. I trust your judgment. All
right, we're going Cooks.
Yeah, it's all the same tier to me. If I had a quarterback already, it would have been a spot where like, hey, let's try to stack him. Mm-hmm. But at this point, let's just load up on receivers, and then maybe a Cook. We can get the quarterback later. That and in that order. So, for sure. All right. So let's show this here. So we went Hawkinson, Cooks. We get tight end 3, and that's probably so that's something that we're comfortable with now. I really like Hawkinson. Again, all these players, including every player we have, we could still stack with their quarterback. So that's always nice.
And this year in particular, I feel like the value of a top 3 tight end to where now I just don't even have to think about it. So it really frees up roster spots and that I can put elsewhere.
Yeah, exactly. So, and we weren't getting Hawk on the way on the next wrap, right? I mean, tight ends and quarterbacks fall in this format, but Hawk wasn't coming back around. He's awesome. So I think that'll work itself out. Cooks is interesting to me. So I like Cooks. I like the offense. Why do you like Cooks over? I'm not going to mention names, but why do you like him over some of the other guys that were there in that range?
Sure. So, for example, Dotson just went to the 10 spot there. So I think last season for Cooks was an aberration in an otherwise stellar career. I mean, it was very clear that the organization was falling apart. There is a lot of internal discord. There is a lot of dirty laundry getting aired about a promise to be traded and that being denied, and just a really awful team altogether. Other than that, he's had, even regardless of the environment he's been in, he's performed 1,000-yard receiver almost every season he's played. And I think the environment behind a great offensive line, between a above average quarterback in Dak Prescott, and finally not having to carry the load like he was in Houston, but instead having CeeDee Lamb take some of that pressure off of him. And then when you look at the vacated targets, Dalton Schultz is gone. Powerhouse Noah Brown is gone from the Dallas Cowboys, but that's all targets, and that opens it up. So I think it's a tremendous opportunity for him. Yeah,
he's 29, Jack. We almost feel like this guy's been in the league for 100 years, right? Yeah. He's only 29. He's performed everywhere he's been. Whenever Jerry brings in a new toy, right? He wants to use it. He wants to roll it out there. He wants to use it. I think the offense is going to be, if Gallup is really healthy, and people are talking about, well, Gallup get hurt. I think it all helps each other. Again, he's our wide receiver 4. He's wide receiver 38. Mm-hmm. Some weeks he'll be wide receiver 50, but some weeks he'll be wide receiver 15 in that offense. So, and again, starting him in that flex spot, I think is going to be sweet for us. So
happy to flex him.
Yeah, happy to flex him. There goes Elijah Moore, a guy we were hoping might make it back to us, a guy that I like, a guy that I'll have plenty of. I do like Elijah Moore there. James Cook off the board. I want to talk to him about him a little bit because I'm from the Western New York area. I'm the Bills fan. And here's the deal with Cook. Everyone's high on Cook. He's been flying up the draft boards because he had a 40-yard run in the scrimmage or whatever. Listen, when you are drafting running backs, especially in the top 20, like Cook now is RB 19 in a big money draft here. You want running backs that catch passes and score touchdowns. The Bills don't throw the ball to the running backs, and he's their third option at the goal line, behind the best goal line option in the NFL, Josh Allen, and Damian Harris. So unless something happens that's completely, could he get the goal line work? He could. Could they start throwing to the running back? They could, but I just don't see it happening. I was okay with taking some pieces of him at like RB 30, stuff like that. But at RB 19, I had a guy like Kenneth Walker, who when healthy is going to be insane. I know he's splitting carries just like Cook will be splitting carries, and he's better. Miles Sanders had a little injury. I get it, but like, I don't know, man. He goes. Alexander Madison, the hate on Madison right now is insane. Madison's going to see way more he's going to catch the passes and be the goal line back for the Minnesota Vikings. So I don't know. What do you think about Cook?
Well, I thought a lot more highly of him until you started talking, and now you're convincing. I thought maybe part of the upside, they went and got Dalton Kincaid, and they're basically mirroring some of the other responses to the two high safeties of like start playing with two tight ends more often and focusing more like the Chiefs with Pacheco or McKinnon, trying to maybe change their game a bit, but that is a lot of wish casting and not necessarily when you have an option like Miles Sanders, who
Dobbins,
well, I have my issues with Dobbins, but Madison was not available at that point, but certainly getting a lot of hate that I think is probably unjustified. But yeah, specifically Ken Walker or Miles Sanders, with a bit more not only defined role, but it seems like the team really wants to use them more as a centerpiece versus kind of a luxury pick. Yeah.
Now again, RB 30, fine. If he was getting the goal line work, fine. If he was getting the pass down work, fine. But they just, again, they could change their offense completely and start doing that. But I just, until that happens, I mean, it's a lot of wish casting. It's a lot of whatever. But anyways,
it's a high risk, high reward because you're trying to get ahead of the curve before it happens. And if you hit, then we're all going to look like dumbasses. But
that's right. And trust me, no one's more afraid to miss on Bills players than I am. But but so
shame to your house.
That's right. So listen, I made so much money off Josh Allen his first year coming out because I was just like, this guy's going to be the man. I watched him play in person, and but so I don't want to lose money. But listen, Elijah, a guy we took Cooks. I liked Elijah Moore. He's gone. Gabe Davis gone. Zay Flowers gone. Sutton's rising up draft boards after saying he lost some weight, saying he looks like the best receiver in camp. So a couple of guys maybe we hope might get back to us are not going to make it back. It's crazy, man. Here we are. We're talking about running backs flying off the board. We're at RB 22 and wide receiver 43. It's just the gap, and which makes me feel even better about taking the receivers as early as we did, because now we're not like, oh God, now we got to flex wide receiver, 60, although we might still have to do that.
We still might.
Traylon Burks, Damian Pierce. So I'm going to actually hop into the draft here sooner than I normally do, because I want to get kind of a feel for what's available here. Before our pick comes up, so we're not panicking.
Sure.
Quarterbacks an option still. There's some quarterback options available. Some high upside guys. We don't have to talk. We don't have to say this to say their names. Running back. There's some running back options available if we want to go that route. I like this tier of backs here too. Whoever kind of makes it to us, and wide receivers thin, which is why we took one the last go around. So
and that is kind of a lot of the, like you were talking about, when you, especially in this format, focus on the wide receivers early. I feel like it gets the tough stuff out of the way and then allows more opportunities to kind of fall to you instead of scrambling to find, that extra wide receiver to get the depth you need. But, I'm pretty biased on that. So
no, I get it. And listen, I'm so I just took a look over the available players. There's a couple of guys I'm really comfortable taking. So when it gets to us, I'll have my I'll be ready to roll. So Sky Moore, Michael Thomas, Jameson Williams.
Jameson.
That was Javonte. Jameson Williams goes off the board as wide receiver 47. And this is where it starts to get ugly here. It's funny, all the tight ends here at our end of the board. It's fun, when you do tight end premium this year, the tight ends usually are going at the other end of the board. The Kelsey's going higher. Andrews goes at the 2-3 turn. Hawkinson goes at the 2-3 turn. So it's interesting how you kind of flip-flop sites or flip-flop rules, and guys kind of flip-flop boards. But Cam Akers goes off as RB 24.
The last team without a running back now has one at 7.
Hero RB with Cam Akers. So that team is A.J. Brown, Devonta Smith, Keenan Allen, Jalen Hurts, Mike Evans, Elijah Moore, Cam Akers. I really like that team. I really like that team. So hopefully we, no running backs make it back to them again. Kamara only missing 2 games. Three. I'm sorry, 3 games. I say only, but it's a quarter of the season because in high stakes, it's short seasons.
It matters. Although we say that as the people that drafted Breece Hall, so it must not matter that much.
But listen, when Breece Hall comes back, I expect him to be a top 5 or 6 back.
There you go.
When Kamara comes back, I'm not expecting that.
You don't have the same expectation?
Yep.
Okay.
But no, I don't have the same expectation. Sorry, I was reading someone saying that we don't have any players in our queue. It's like, yeah, we can't do that. All right. So David Montgomery just won. We are up here in 2 picks. Anyone off the top of your head right now that's just burning a hole in your pocket? I mean, you don't have to say the name right now, but is there a guy?
Yeah, there's a couple.
Yeah, I agree. I'm kind of excited about this pick here. These picks. Yeah, there's a couple different ways we can go here, and I can't believe we're gonna. Normally I'm like 20 seconds behind on our pick, and now I'm like ready to jump all over it.
Yeah, exactly.
I think I know who you love, and I love him too. Look at Team 11 just wants to snipe us.
They're
again.
milking it. Yeah.
They want to snipe us again. Oh, what happened? Timeout.
You're on the clock.
Oh, again. For me, at least. Timeout?
Yeah.
Hold on a minute. Maybe they don't want him. All right.
No,
Anyway.
I have a feeling that was
okay. That was sniped.
All right.
Again. All right. Quarterback. Do we like any of these QBs? Burrow, Herbert, Fields?
Yeah.
Or are you okay with pushing it?
I'll push it. I'll continue to push it. But
okay.
I was actually looking Rachaad White.
Okay, fine. I was just going to say, I was going to go to running back. I love Rachaad White. I love DeAndre Swift too. We can take one of them. We can take two of them. Were you thinking any receiver?
Well, other than the one that just went.
I wasn't thinking other than Johnston.
So all right, I'm taking Rachaad White.
Yes. And if you want to push, if you want to push QB and we want to stay at running back, I'm more of a Swift. So I think Swift, there's possibilities for Swift to end up like a top 10 back. Like injuries to certain players, like he could just be really good there in that offense. I mean, what do you think?
No, I like it. I think it's another one of those high risk, high reward. But I don't think Penny, even if Penny's the guy for a burst, I think with injury history, DeAndre Swift and the unique role that he has, I feel good about that.
Oh, love it. Okay, so yeah, take Swift there, and then we can talk about that more. I freaking love that turn. There were so many guys there I wanted. I would have been okay with a quarterback. But I'm okay pushing it too, like we talked about before the draft. For sure. Quentin Johnston, I was ready to just high five you through the screen when he found it.
Yeah, we even talked about that one before.
Yeah. And then as soon as Quentin Johnston, I'm like, we're taking, and then I look at his team like, my God, he's got two freaking receivers. Of course he's gonna take Johnson, and then he times out on Johnston.
Yeah, wow.
Freaking believable. Anyways, okay. I gotta tell you, I love that turn for us for running backs. These are high catch guys. These are high upside guys. And I think that is perfect for our build. If Breece Hall's out, fine. We've got Rachaad White, who's probably going to be the guy there. DeAndre Swift, who again, when Penny gets hurt, Swift is going to be the guy there. Swift is, I get he hasn't been lived up to expectations, but we're talking about an elite offense with an elite line. And Jalen Hurts throws the ball more than you would think for a scrambling quarterback. He throws the ball more than you would think to the running backs. So I just think there's massive upside there. Talk to me about White and Swift.
Yeah, I think it's a great combination, a great pairing that sort of balances each other out. I mean, Rachaad White going to get the full opportunity. There's really nobody that's going to challenge him for any really significant snaps. With Fournette gone, it's wheels up for him. And I do think his numbers might have been a little impinged last year based upon a lot of injuries to the offensive line. Yeah. That offensive line is now healthy again. And I could see either Baker or Kyle Trask in a lot of situations where you need to pitch it off in the short or behind the line of scrimmage to a running back to save themselves. So I think he could be in for a great year, but then it's also then balanced with Swift. I mean, it's, by most estimates, the number one offensive line in the league. It's just a quality offense. And in general, in fantasy football, if you're not sure, buy into quality offenses. And I think, Swift is another example of, some strange injuries last year that aren't necessarily reoccurring injuries that really weighed him down, and he played through maybe when he should have sat out for a period of time. But regardless, I think we could maybe Swift was going. It was not too long ago when he was second round. Based off of all the hype around him. So I think in an even better team situation with some pretty fragile competition, if things go right, huge upside for us at running back there.
Where did we just take him at pick? What was the overall pick?
85.
Pick 85. So his
Running back 28.
Yeah, in the Circa Championship, I know it's the mid stakes. His low was 92. So like I feel like we got him almost at his absolute, lowest point as far as draft spot. His high was 68. So it's just like I just love that for our build. I like so another thing too, why this matters and why I'm so excited is if you have, 4 or 5 running, if he's your RB4 or RB5 or something like that, or RB4 behind a stable of backs, even if he hits, like he doesn't give you the value to your team that he does to our team. Because if he hits,
because we need him to hit.
We need him to hit. And when he hits, he's our RB2 or our RB1 to go along with our stud receivers and our stud tight end. Like that's what we need. And if one of those guys hits, if they both hit, Jack, you're coming in first or second place again, and I'm riding your coattails all the way to the field. Okay.
No, it's an exciting build and one where I think we're leaning into uncertainty, and there's not great prizes for
right
5th, 6th, 7th. So
that's right.
Lean in.
That's right. No, I absolutely love that turn. Now, could the Bucks go sign a running back? Could they go get Dalvin Cook? What? Sure. I just love the upside of these guys. You can tell I'm just giddy about that turn. I knew I was going to love that turn once I pulled up the thing and saw that. But so then of course we say quarterback, and this is that they all go fine. Burrow, Herbert, Fields. I would have been good with any of them there, especially Herbert. I'm big on Herbert this year, but it's not best ball, so stacking isn't near as important, but we didn't really have any stacking pieces there with any of those guys, so I wasn't really pushed into doing it. And with those running backs that were available, I really liked doing that. And then there was Goddard and Pitts in this round. So it's a big quarterback, tight end round here. Anything stand out to you?
No, I mean, I get it. I understand the logic behind their picks. I think that's a great price on Burrow. I think the calf injury is probably minor. Also, great price on Herbert as well. And it's one of those when the seal breaks, everybody's holding off, and then as soon as one of them goes, same thing, both quarterback and tight end. Now we've got Waller, Kittle, Goddard, and Pitts, kind of the last ostensibly, could be elite tight ends off the board, and same thing with the quarterbacks as well.
And we like seeing that too, because we knew we weren't going to get the quarterback, so we want to see those guys go off the board. We knew we already had a tight end, so we want to see those guys go off the board. Like we want them to push some players back to us, which I think is what is going to happen again here. So, perfect, really, really nice. That Quentin Johnston pick, man, oh man, he got us on,
you got some trauma.
Well, he got us on Kelsey. Not that we were like targeting Kelsey, but we were taking him at 12. He got us on Kelsey, Watson, Addison, Johnston. I mean, he got us on every single one, man. It's tough.
We got our number.
Okay. Let's see here, man. And this is what Jacoby Myers, wide receiver 51 in the 8th round, competing with RB31 on the very next pick. It's wide receiver season here at the FFWC. Rashad Bateman, Nico Collins. What do you think about Nico Collins? He was a guy that I would have taken on this next turn here. I like Nico. I like his opportunities. His numbers and analytics are showing he's improving year 1, year 2 for what you want to see. Is he a guy you've been targeting, Jack?
I don't go out of my way for him, but if he's there and he fits the build, I'm happy to take him. He's kind of the more traditional X receiver. I think with a new, there's always uncertainty dealing with rookie quarterbacks. But that being said, I'd rather have a rookie like C.J. Stroud over another year of Davis Mills. So I think that's an upgrade there. And the Houston offensive line is really underrated. They've really done a great job of putting together with some solid tackles. I think they're going to give them plenty of time, and for the first time in a while, have a good assortment of weapons that aren't going to be necessarily league leading, but it's not going to be one player leading the whole way. So I think wide receiver 49. I think it's a fine pick.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And this is your wheelhouse here. You're the receiver man. We're coming up on the clock soon here, so I'm going to take a little peek at the positions. Yes, yeah, I still like some of the quarterbacks out there. Still like some of the other players. It's hard to talk here, chat. Man, I'm so happy we decided to take those receivers earlier because it is just a dead zone.
It's what happens here. It's definitely part of playing because it goes quick, and since you can go start up to 5, and it's a position that's just really difficult to recover from on the waiver wire. Where running back, you can make it work. You can find some late in, a quarterback to make it work if you have to. But if you're behind on wide receiver midseason, it's very hard to come back.
Man, it's so weird for me to see certain players still on the board here in non-tight end premium. I'm not going to mention names, but it's like, wow, here we are. Yeah, I like those guys you put in the chat there, in our private chat, guys. Don't get excited. Don't get excited.
It's just a bunch of GIFs. We're not actually talking strategy. Just GIFs and memes.
Just GIFs and memes. Well, there goes one of the guys, Deshaun.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, no, I'm glad we pushed quarterback. There's plenty left. Because you can always play the quarterback. You can always play the matchup game too. You know what I mean? You take a couple, and whoever's got the best matchup, you start them.
Yeah, and especially with right next to us, a couple going, that gives us a little bit of certainty that somebody, quarterback's more likely to fall to us now in the turn.
Yep.
There went Charbonnet.
There went the guy we were thinking about, Charbonnet, for sure. All right, we are. There's nobody that I love here, which makes it better because now I can't be sniped because there's nobody that I absolutely love here.
You're on the clock.
Okay, we are on deck.
Romeo Dobbs.
Okay, what are you thinking?
I like Pirine. I think he matches up with what we need in terms of Breece Hall starting slow.
Yeah.
I think it's a good fit for us. We actually discussed that going into
this.
We
talked about
Breece Hall that we target that.
Yeah, do it. Take our time here, though.
Yeah, I'll queue him up, and then let's talk on the second one.
Do we want to push another receiver, or do we want to go quarterback?
Who do you have in mind?
Well, I didn't necessarily. I mean, I like if I was had to take a receiver here, I would go probably Mooney or Gallup. I think, although Lazard, we have all those Jets and stuff.
Yeah, I think I'd prefer maybe to get some upside receivers a little bit later on. I think there's personally compared to those two, but certainly open.
Okay, so you're thinking QB or running back?
I'm looking running back at the moment.
Okay. I mean, Jamal fits the build that we were looking at early season. Am I looking at hold on a minute. Hold on a minute. There we go. We could go with a late, maybe I don't know. Brian Robinson just doesn't do it for me, but
I think Damian Harris, for all the reasons that you're not as high on James Cook. But.
Okay. Yeah, let's do it. Yeah, I like Damian Harris. And again, if there's an injury to somebody, Harris could be the stud there. So,
and I could just see what is it? Week 17, we're on the money weeks. They play the Patriots. I could see in the revenge game 3 touchdowns in the snow.
Oh, I
Damian
love that
Harris.
take.
So.
Oh, I love that take. If you just said that take 3 rounds ago, I would have taken him through the 3 rounds ago. I love pounding the Patriots into oblivion.
Yeah, I'm speaking your language. I know
for sure. So, is this let's talk build? Is this an odd build for you? Is this? I mean, to be through. What are we through here? 10 rounds to have the same amount of more running backs than receivers. Is that odd for you?
Yeah. I think I probably would have pressed on with wide receivers if left to my own devices. Might not have gone Breece Hall, which I'm kind of happy that I did. There's a lot of I'd put them not quite dart throws. They're not the late round dart throws, but the certainly like Browns 11, 12, 13 receivers that I just have a thing for. I think there's some really interesting targets, so I don't feel the need, especially because the 4 wide receivers that we have, I'm really confident in.
Yes.
So I don't feel the need to rush out and get a wide receiver just to add to the room.
And listen, that's why I like drafting with you, Jack, because that gave me confidence. Like, because I didn't know what route you wanted to go, and you've done. It's great drafting with a guy like you who does as many or more drafts than I do, and I do a ton, to see your confidence and like, no, we can wait on receiver. I don't like the perfect, wonderful. Let's go running backs, and then let you kind of hit these late round receivers that you're into. And the cool thing about this build too is we are planning on being elite at receiver, and now we have a really good chance at being elite at running back too, and tight end, because we've got so many running backs, you know what I mean, that have upside and all that stuff. And we used draft capital on receivers that we think are going to be great. So we took a top 3 tight end. Like, really, this team could end up being really, really good based on the way, just on the macro build of it.
Mm-hmm. No, and I think, once you take Breece Hall, and then once we're deciding to wait on quarterback, kind of the 2 weaknesses of the team are who's going to be your quarterback, and what if Breece takes longer than you hope. So I think of those things, I feel confident addressing the first question a little bit later on at a lower cost. And so I'd just much rather build out some redundancy for running back so that, worst case scenario, if Breece takes longer than we're hoping, but we still get that second half push, we're able to survive and keep moving to actually enjoy it. Because there's nothing worse than when you have the team that has like all of the second half of the season heroes, but you're so far behind that you can't actually enjoy any of it. So,
and listen, whenever your weakness of your team is who's going to play quarterback, that's the weakness you want to have. Like, if you're going to have a weakness, that's it. That's the one you want to have. Again, you don't want that weakness like week 5, like, my God, they're all hurt and I can't find anybody decent. But in round 10, like, again, we are at QB 9, Jack. Like, we're going to be fine. We're going to be fine. And none of these guys are taking, it's not best ball. All these teams that have them on the way back are not taking another one, right? So, like, we have 2 teams we'll worry about, really, to take in a QB. So, and maybe someone else wants to stick it to us and take another one. But, no, I really like the way that this has turned out so far. Awesome.
I think it comes back to something you said, I think it was Red vs. Blue 3, just about the, just make it make sense. And I think that's, from my perspective, that's one of the most important rules in roster construction. You can have some weird builds. You can get a little crazy and do something unconventional, but making it so that your team is internally consistent. You're not betting against yourself or hedging when you shouldn't be, but that there's you're kind of telling a story end to end rather than just making a pick round to round.
Yep. Scott Lawrence in the chat asks, Team 7 followed the same template as us, pretty much. Very, very similar.
Or we followed Team 7.
Yeah, that's right. We followed Team 7. What do we think about their team? And I said after the Akers pick, not that I love Akers, but I said after the Akers pick, I love Team 7. I love what they were able to do. They got that. They went elite quarterback. We went elite tight end. They haven't taken a tight end. We haven't taken a quarterback. So we did something very similar there. And then they went Akers, Connor, Penny, Robinson. I love their build. I like our stable of backs way better than their stable of backs. Only, even if you take Breece Hall out of it, like the upside of White and Swift, those 2 combined I like those better than any running backs that they have. Like, I would take our first 3 running backs over their number 1 running back. So, but then they could argue too that they like Elijah Moore. I just think the upside again. Roddy White has top 10 running back upside with the pass catching. I don't want to say top 5, but he's got, with the pass catching, he's got huge upside. Same as Swift. I love Elijah Moore. I'm just babbling on. I love their team. I just like our stable of backs better.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a different. I mean, they're making it make sense. They're reallocating
Correct.
priorities a little differently. That they're starting 5 wide, and those 5 are fantastic. You know, where we chose to go with a tight end advantage, especially when one team is taking 2 elite tight ends, which kind of magnifies the impact of tight end. They went with who I think is the QB1, and that's their elite angle that they're going to edge us out with. So again, they're making it make sense. And as I say that, teams 1 and 2 take their quarterbacks.
There you
and
go.
now we're the last
team. I
last.
take pride in that.
Yeah.
Everyone in this room takes pride in taking the last quarterback, and that's us. So take that, okay? Chicken, we win.
If we win nothing else, we won the chicken in the draft.
We won the game of chicken. That's
a moral victory. So.
Yeah, for sure.
What do you think of Richardson, by the way?
I love him in a format like this. I love him to be able to just, hey, you don't have to stack him with anybody. You don't got to worry about that. You take him. He's got that massive rushing upside. Steichen there as their coach, offensive coordinator. Like, I really like taking him. Snake. It won't be the only quarterback he takes, I'm sure. And so he'll take, another one maybe, hopefully, but we'll see. We'll see. I love it in this format. I think it's a great pick as QB11.
Yeah, especially the seasonal redraft instead of best ball, where taking a 0 is the end of the world in best ball, whereas the risk part of Anthony Richardson, either the slow start or he's not starting games right away, can be pretty easily taken care of either through a second quarterback or the waiver wire. So I think you can cap your downside and still get that upside in the 11th round.
Right. Exactly. So, yeah, I mean, we'll see here. Let me take a peek at the draft room here. Or anything out of the order. There goes Lazard, wide receiver 60. Oh man, A-Chain. I like that pick.
Mm-hmm.
I would have liked him coming back too. All right. Okay, got some guys here. All right. Again, still some quarterbacks I like. Probably not look at it. I hate tight end here, which is beautiful.
It's a good place to be.
Yeah, that's right. Because we have one. Okay. Perfect. That's what I wanted to see. All right. The guy I was talking about earlier that at tight ends I'm not used to seeing there was like Evan Ingram there in the stinking 10th round. Like it's pretty interesting.
I do like Zay Jones, who just went at 11-8. I think being overlooked and still going to be out there in 3 wide receiver sets on a great offense. And seems to be good reports still coming out of training camp that he's still very involved. And especially if there's some time for Ridley to, get back into it. Although, based on the hype videos, it seems like he's very much back into it. But I think he's still going to play a part in this offense. And he's kind of the forgotten man.
Well, for everyone else's sake, I hope he doesn't. Like, we could talk about it after our pick because I want to see who you think the odd man out is. But real quick, let everyone know there's some other drafts tonight too. We have 7 to go in the $50 starter tonight. If everyone's feeling the itch, and you can choose your draft spot apparently according to Scott in the chat here, and also 6 to go in the 1030 350 mid stakes circa Las Vegas draft. So 6 to go in that one. That's always a fun one. All right, we are on deck here. Kirk Cousins, Thielen. I got to be honest with you. A-Chain, I don't know if we would have taken A-Chain, but I didn't even see him. I was looking for him the last time we were on the clock, and I didn't see him. I would have pushed for him. But again, I'll end up with enough A-Chain. I probably would have taken him over Damian Harris, but okay. We are on deck. We have been sniped 8,000 times.
Let's make it one more.
Let's make it 8,001. Okay, here. Oh, we get news from Glenn Carrot says you have to
You're on the
search
clock.
for A-Chain in the
All right.
in the
Tyler Algier went.
Yep.
Quarterbacks, we've got Dak and Daniel Jones. Like either one of those.
I like Dak because we've got Cooks. I also love Geno. But I would rank Jones third out of them.
Okay.
So
who do you have? What do you think?
I would go. Do you like pick one, Geno or Dak? Is what I would do with this team.
Let's do Dak.
Okay.
Like you said, we got Cooks.
We got Cooks.
That's
All
an
right.
easy tiebreaker.
What's the other one?
So we could double up and go Gallup. We could go somebody like DJ Chark or Jonathan Mingo. Interesting wide receivers.
Are you okay with receiver here? Are there guys that you like in this range?
I like Gallup just fine. I think
do
Tyler
it.
Bort.
Yeah, I like Gallup a lot, especially with this build. I know this is going to sound silly, but like I think it's a really nice like handcuff. Like if one of them goes down, the other one I think is going to smash. Like I feel like the thing that's holding, like if Gallup didn't exist or if Cooks didn't exist, I think people would be much higher on the other receiver. And so if one of them goes down, I think the other one gets a ton more targets. What do you think about that?
Yeah, and I think there's also the possibility of an additional year off the ACL. There's some good reports coming back from Gallup that he feels, he didn't really feel confident in his knee through most of the last season. So, he could be a nice bounce back candidate in that way. And, in the school of, just make it make sense. We're already committed with Cooks. We're already committed with Prescott. So, I think it just makes sense to bolster down on the bet.
And God forbid CeeDee Lamb goes down. Now what?
Well,
what?
Then it's wheels up.
Now it's wheels up. That's the way you got to look at stuff, like, especially when you're here in the 12th round. I mean, yeah, the player, the micro take, 2 months ago, he said he felt better than he had felt 2 years prior, like the injury. I know players always say that, but he just wasn't right last year. He feels great. He feels healthy. This offense, I think there's a lot of weapons there, and I think this passing game, a lot of all the things you said about Cooks apply to Gallup, and so I think it's a great pick. That was the receiver that I was hoping you would say. So,
well, and Dak at QB 13, I think that's
that's fine. That's right.
It's hard to be disappointed too much of that. I think even if we're seeing a floor out of Dak, I don't think it's going too much lower. So,
yeah. So, oh man. So I like this team so far. So I'll go through real quick. Garrett Wilson, Devontae Adams, first 2 picks, double tap receiver. Followed up with Breece Hall, Deebo Samuel, TJ Hawkinson, Brandon Cooks. Only one green, only one running back in there. But then we followed up with White, Swift, Pirine, Harris, Prescott, Gallup. And so, I like it. It's all making sense right now. Love it. Dulcich goes as 10 and 11, followed by Zamir White, Devin Singletary. Everyone is this the spot, Jack, where you just kind of start taking your guys around? You kind of got to build still need to get a quarterback, a tight end. You still need to have like some roster construction stuff, but once you've got that roster constructed, it's like, let me go get my guys here.
Yeah, and the opportunity cost at this point, like, there's certainly debates about ADP and how closely you need to follow, but when we're talking about a 12th round pick and reaching for somebody in the 12th round that should be in the 14th round or so, like at the end of the day, if you're right, you're right. And, if you take them around earlier than you should have, the opportunity cost is so small with these later rounds that it's just better to go after who you have convictions in, because, the number of players at this point that you're going to have strong conviction in, the list is getting pretty small.
Right. And there goes Team 7. They keep on keeping on. They heard us talk. Your backfield isn't as good as ours, so they went ahead and took 2 more. Tank Bigsby, Kendra Miller. And listen, I joke about Team 7 about that. Like, we're not talking about the owners tonight, but I love Team 7 who's drafting this team. So very, I mean, this whole room is sharp, so sharp. This person knows exactly what they're doing. So really cool to see this build. It takes some guts too. It takes guts to be able to go 5 straight receivers and then 6 straight running backs. You know, a lot of people don't have it in them to do it. All right, so we're coming up here at the turn here, the 12-13 turn. Jack, any other teams that kind of stand out to you as far as roster construction, maybe, or as far as, again, there's a lot of like purpose in these drafts, right? Like you see, you know, team 1 goes receiver and then goes double taps running back and then goes 5 straight receivers. I don't think that was an accident. You get a team 3, 4 straight running back or 4 straight receivers to start the draft. I don't think that was an accident. We talked about our build, talked about Team 7's build. A lot of like, hey, this is the first main event of the year. I'm going to go in with a plan and a purpose, and I'm going to execute it.
Yeah, I'm looking at 3 and 4, like you're saying. You know, 3 starting out with 4 wide receivers. Great for this format. They're picking up, you know, and then Gabe Davis at the 5th at wide receiver 41, which I think is a great bounce back where, you know, he's getting hyped up so much last year to the 3rd round. Certainly way too rich, but at the same time, we're talking now, you know, the wide receiver 2 for Buffalo at wide receiver 41. So I think a bit of an overcorrection, and they took advantage of that. They're also stacking Trevor Lawrence with Calvin Ridley, so you have a bit of correlation there. And then, you know, similarly, Team 4, you're taking full advantage of having CMC as your running back by just being able to pivot away, look at wide receivers, look at, you know, elite quarterback, and then even stacking that elite quarterback with Sky Moore. So again, like you're saying, these are clearly drafters that come in, not necessarily with a preordained plan as to how exactly it's going to go down, but a very a clear and concise view in their mind of how they want to build out a roster, and then they stick to that plan. And if, you know, there's always the attractive player that falls via ADP that kind of makes you want to deviate from the plan in order to get that great deal. And then a lot of times you end up a couple rounds later regretting the decision because now you're catching up.
Right.
You might have won that one round, but then your team's suffering.
Yeah.
So these are disciplined drafters who know exactly what they need to get at various stages in the draft.
Yep. And you had mentioned Team 4. Team 4 took Miles Sanders as RB21. That's actually one of Ian Ritchie. You guys have heard of that guy. One of his bust players this season. Ian was a stud fantasy football player. Kind of had to give it up to own a little thing called the FFWC here. And so, but one of his bust guys is Miles Sanders. So we'll see. I don't have a lot of Miles Sanders, but Team 4 is into him at RB21. And then unfortunately, one of Ian's breakouts was a guy named Christian Watson, who I'm done talking about. I'm done talking about how we got sniped by Christian Watson at the 3-4 turn, but I trust Ian's judgment. He knows what he's talking about, and Christian Watson's going to be the man. I'm going to have to double down on him in other drafts just to make up for this one. But we are coming up here on the clock.
I feel like on your deathbed, you're going to be, you know, talking to your kids and grandkids, and you're going to be like, my life was great until I got sniped. Christian Watson at the first live FFWC Main.
Pick Team 2. We talked about Anthony Richardson. I love Geno Smith. Followed up with Geno Smith. That's exactly what I'm talking about. It's a great combination. You could have flipped it around, right? You could have gone Geno at QB 11, for me at least, and then Richardson at QB 14, and it would have made the same amount of sense. So I really like that pick for team 2. Dalton Kincaid, another Buffalo boy, off the board in the middle of the 13th round, and we are coming up here. So I'm going to take a peek at the board here.
take a peek at the private chat.
Yeah, oh yeah, that's right. Sorry.
Oh, you're good.
Yes, I like the second name better.
Yep.
And I'm okay with the two-time.
The audible. Yeah. Okay. The
two-time.
2-time.
Yep.
Cool.
The 2-time. I actually love that. Yeah, I like everything that you just said. Perfect. I was just looking at that first name.
Yeah.
We were perfect. Okay, sweet. So I guess I can look away from this now. I can go back to the draft board. That's perfect. Man, I'm excited. First main of the year. And I love the team. Because listen, I'll be honest with you. A lot of times you come out of these, especially with all these guys, we got sniped a couple times. I could love it even more if we didn't get sniped. But I really like the way this is folded out so far for us.
Yeah. It's certainly part of the toolbox of main event high stakes drafting is being able to do those pivots and, not necessarily getting everything you wanted, but being able to turn it around and make it make sense.
And I want to talk about that after we make our 2 picks. I want to talk about we were talking about team build and having a plan coming in. Team 4 is looking for just a way to snipe us, or sorry, team 11. They're like, how can we snipe them? And they're running us again. They run out of time. I'm sure they have somebody in the queue. Let's see.
You're on the clock.
Perfect. We didn't want that bum, Paris Campbell. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So what are we thinking?
I'm thinking Jaden Reed.
Jaden, I love that. Love that pick. He was the guy I was looking at. Reed, little upside rookie receiver.
Yeah, Green Bay is a bit of a black box, and his closest comp, obviously, high upside scenario, but he's kind of a Stephon Diggs-like player in his physicality. Yep. And it looks like they're doing, a lot of designed plays for him out of the backfield. So that's interesting to get him moving. And I don't think Dobbs is unmovable. So
yeah, right.
And then for second pick, you're interested in double tapping? Is that
double tap. About? Let's do it.
Yep. Yep. Let's do Daniel Jones. Came back to us, and I think we shore up the obvious weakness to our team in quarterback. So if things don't go necessarily as planned for Dak, we've got options, or we can just play the weeks in the match.
Play the weeks, exactly. So I really like that. Again, when you wait, I would never suggest taking. How to say this? I would never suggest taking like 2 of the top 12 or 13 quarterbacks unless you are taking number 12 and 13. You know what I mean? Something like that, because yes, you have Josh Allen, and I would never say don't take Josh Allen because I love him, but you spent a 5th round pick on him or a 4th round pick. I've got Prescott, I've got Jones. I'm going to play the weeks and hopefully stay within a couple points of you and your team every single week. So no, I like that for sure. And I wanted to talk a little bit more about the strategy of teams coming in with a plan. The bet I know I've drafted with or know probably 10 of these guys. I probably drafted with everyone. I just don't know everyone. People in here have been drafting for weeks or months or years or whatever, except with the exception of Chad. Chad's the only one, but he's the best of us. But people come in that you need to have the ability to change the strategy and know how to do it. So for example, playing poker, the best poker players have played thousands or tens of thousands of hands so that they know when a certain board flops, the texture of the board, what they have, who they're playing. Okay, I gotta switch my gear on this hand, or I gotta switch my gear for this table that I'm playing against. That only comes with experience. It only comes with drafting. You can't go into draft and say, I'm gonna go 0 RB. Because if you go into a draft going 0 RB and that doesn't fall that way, now you're trying to transition to another strategy that you don't know how to do. You're going to screw it up, or vice versa, or whatever. Mm-hmm. Jack and I have done enough of these drafts already this season, not main events, but mid-stakes drafts. I'm probably 12 mid-stakes drafts deep in this. I've done the super flex, I've done all the other stuff. We've done this before, and all these guys have done this before. So to be able to pull off, you just need to go to a draft with a thought process of what you want to do. But then when the tables turn, you got to be able to say, oh man, I'm going to go from a 0 to a hero RB, or I'm going to go from a hero RB. Maybe I go with one running back early, and then, oh my God, my RB4 fell to RB9. All right, well, I guess I'm going to go heavy RB here. You got to be able to do that. And it only comes with the experience of drafting.
Well, and we talk about the importance of being able to be comfortable with being uncomfortable. And, part of that is maybe like a character trait or something like that. But also part of it has to do with, like you're talking about, knowledge of the texture of the board. Like, for example, we knew that we could, starting in the 7th, we could pull up on wide receiver because we know coming on later that there are going to be opportunities for that later on. If you're making that decision without truly knowing what, the later rounds are going to look like, you're making those decisions blind, and you're not going to be able to have that confidence to make that pivot. Whether it pays off or not, we'll certainly have to see. But the point of making a roster that is internally consistent and highlights your strengths, taking the players that we have that, getting the full value of drafting these wide receivers and putting this early investment in. Part of that is being able to wait and, address other needs because you've put that draft capital in early.
Yeah, and you know what else helps? Stuff like this, the visual ADP board.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? These are all the players, the ADPs that they're available. The light ones are the ones that we picked. So even if you're like, hey, listen, I haven't done as many as Jack, I haven't done as many as Adam, I don't know who's going to be available. Man, you get that premium subscription, you get the visual ADP board here in the draft room for you. It tells you, oh my God, this guy's normally goes 4 rounds before that. Oh my God, Daniel Jones, he goes normally 3 rounds ahead of this. So it's stuff like this that is cool for other people. I'll be honest with you. I don't want to see this in the draft room. This is going to help people. This is going to help me. I don't want people being helped.
You don't have to be a complete degenerate to have that sort of board texture. You can use the tools.
Yes. Like Scott, don't take this out of here. I don't want to see that thing in there, but it's super helpful for everybody. All the tools, the ADP list, ADP board, the stuff that we showed earlier. So no, I think it's super, super helpful for everybody. But yeah, you got to be. But even showing you the ADPs of players doesn't help you with the building, the roster construction, the texture of your team, all that type of stuff. So yeah, I like the way that we can be able to do that and work together and do that. Also, we're getting into the late rounds here. We do not have to draft kickers and defenses. Yes,
that's
correct.
Right.
Okay, I am perfectly okay with you doing what we talked about in that text earlier. If you want to pull that off, great. If not, whatever. I'm flexible with that. If that's, I trust you on that. And so, yeah, here we are. We're getting into the late rounds here. Another cool thing about the FFWC is you don't need to take defense or kicker. You need to have one by week 1 when you set your lineup. But there's new this year. There's 2 waiver runs this year for the FFWC. I think it's Tuesday, Saturday. Is that right, Jack?
Yeah, that sounds right. I
think it's Tuesday. There'll be a waiver run, and then Saturday before. So you just got to make sure you have your kicker and your defense by Sunday when you set your lineup for those games. So, and
there's certainly a strategy to that too. Taking those additional 2 lottery tickets to see how training camp plays out. Those later running backs or wide receivers over a defense or kicker.
Yes. Yep.
And then you can see here in the 15th round, both the 1 and the 3, and as well as where is that? The 6th spot in the 14th round, taking Justin Ross, Richie James, Marquez Valdez-Scantling, which good picks on their own, but given our unique format, the ability to have a sneak peek, those are 3 guys that you can take advantage of uncertainty, especially MVS. You could easily see him having a big, long touchdown against the Lions. And now you get to take a peek and maybe use that as a flex.
Exactly. No, that's all great stuff. And that's all tie-breaking stuff here down in the end. Let me between this guy or that guy, let me take the shot at the guy who I can get a free peek at, exactly. And that's so valuable. Again, I've said this before. I want someone smarter than me. Maybe this has to be you, Jack, because you're definitely smarter than me. To make what is the percentage of how much better is a player that we get to look at their week 1. We get a crystal ball and see what they get to do. So, or not only that, we get a crystal ball and see like if there's an injury. Like that's cool thing about taking the running backs. If there's an injury to the starter, oh my gosh, now the guy flies up the board. So. I remember the year Kareem Hunt had that game on Monday night against, was it New England for the Chiefs? And he put up like 50 fantasy points. He went from, who was that? Was it Ware? Ware was the starter. Ware gets hurt.
Spencer Ware.
In the Spencer Ware, he hurt in the preseason. So Hunt moves up from like the 7th round to the 3rd round, and then he has that game, and he goes in the top 3 in every draft in Vegas, and he ended up being what, RB1, RB2 on the season. So that was so cool to see. But anyways, I'm getting real dorky.
No, this is the good stuff.
I'm such a dork. So tight ends start going off here. Dalton Schultz, Johnson, Everett, Pierre Strong's the pick here. Chuba Hubbard. We're up here in a couple picks. Do you have? Oh my God, we're almost on the clock. Do you have anyone that you don't have to?
I got a couple. Check
Perfect.
the chat.
Oh, the chat. There's always. I'm trying to run a show here, Jack. There's always so many chats. Fine. Perfect. I don't think there's anyone you could put in the chat right now where we're like, that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard.
Well, we've reached that point in the draft, yeah, where
right.
At least you
You're
have a
on
plan.
the clock.
Right.
All right.
That's right.
Cool.
All right, so we're on the clock. I'm fine with all that. Just talk to the people about who we're picking and why we're picking them.
Sure. So first pick, Ty Chandler. We did just say that maybe the hate against Madison is a little overdone, but he has certainly not proven himself over the course of a season. It's been spot starts throughout. Ty Chandler, a very athletic, fast, explosive back, which is not necessarily something Madison has. And that offense and kind of the McVay system coming over certainly values speed. And in the 15th round, the potential RB2, great pick there, in my opinion.
Love
and
it.
then, let's see, second pick, Michael Wilson from Arizona, wide receiver, another one of those later upside wide receivers to help kind of fill out that spot for us. It's been nothing but a steady drumbeat of just positive praise for him. There's a bit of a vacuum in that team, behind Marquise Brown. And, Marquise Brown has struggled with injuries himself. And I think the most important thing is that he's just a different type of receiver. He's like 6'2", 210, somewhere in that area, 215. Whereas, compared to Rondale Moore or Greg Dortch or a lot of these smaller guys, he offers like that perimeter size.
Yeah,
I think he's going to be out there in 3 wide receiver sets and could be out there in 2 wide receiver sets.
Yeah, no, I like both of those. And again, most of the time, like you look at some of even the rosters from the main event champs of this site and on other sites, a lot it was a main event champion maybe 2 years ago that cut every player they drafted between rounds 11 and 20 outside of their kicker. Mm-hmm. Like it's just these are guys that we are probably going to cut. And you need to draft that way. You don't want to draft on some roster clogger, right? You want to draft on guys like, hey, I want to shoot like a Michael Wilson. If he hits, great. If not, I'm moving on. I'm moving on to the next thing. I'm using this spot to fill in bye weeks, all that type of stuff. Why if you have a reason, why Chandler over McBride?
I think it's not quite a coin flip, but it's close. But I give minor tiebreakers to the fact that he's a second year back in the system. And it's not necessarily the easiest, most straightforward system. So maybe there's a little bit more understanding and familiarity with the team. They both don't have a ton of draft capital, but McBride, I think was like the 7th round pick. So, not necessarily a lot of investment there. And just sort of at this point, there's enough smart people that I listen to that say Ty Chandler. That's enough tiebreakers for me.
Yeah, that's right. So again, it's if it's McBride, if Madison doesn't get hurt, whatever, if he's the guy, then we move on from Ty Chandler, or maybe we hold him, like whatever. It's this type of stuff. Like you want to be shooting for the moon on these last couple. It's not best ball's different. Best ball, you want a floor here. You want some guys that you can get every week because you don't want, if you have an injury and then 3 zeros in your lineup from guys at the end here that stink, you're in big trouble. But here you get zeros, you just cut them the next week and move on. So we see some defenses going off the board here. The Eagles, the Niners, the Cowboys. Flying off the board. These people are not waiting to pick these guys up in waivers. at all. They are targeting them now. I got to be honest with you. I haven't, with this being my first main event live, and with I know me being able to lean on you tonight with the defense kicker types of situation, I haven't even really dug into defenses at all. Normally I'm looking at playoff schedules and stuff like that, playoff matchups for my defenses, because they just don't make a difference enough. Like if you draft a number one defense and you get them, off of waivers, or if you pick them as the last defense, okay, that can make a difference. But I don't know, defense from year to year doesn't carry over. And so I don't know what's your view on D?
Yeah, I think it's actually pretty in line with my view on a couple other positions, the onesie positions, just in terms of, I think you go elite or you just wait. And so there are a couple defenses that you're going to know you're going into the year that they're just stacked, and you can take advantage of that. Other than that, I tend to be more towards, who's the week one opponent, because that's at least a smaller prediction. There's fewer moving parts. And then if it goes great. If not, I'm on to week two. So it's a little easier ask for me. And I don't know. That's how I approach it, at least.
That's a great point. And that's kind of the way that I think you should do it. Now we haven't even discussed, we'll do this live in the show or not. We haven't even discussed who's managing this team. Because one of the things that I take into account is I do so many leagues where you set your lineup. I'm a high stakes grinder. So I'm not at the Chad Schroeder level. I'm not with the big time guys, but I do enough. I probably do between 40 and 50K every year in high stakes leagues. So to me, I only have so much bandwidth. I've got a family and a job and kids sports, and I can't be grinding waivers for kickers and defenses along with all the other players all year. If you have 1 league, 2 leagues, 3 leagues, 10 leagues, fine. You can take your defense on week 1 and then every week shuffle it in and out. That's the way you should do it. Listen to what I'm saying. That's the way you should do it. But for guys like me, you have 50, 60 lineups where you're setting and waivers you're doing, it's hard to grind kickers and defenses every week based on matchups. What do you think?
Life hack, make your kids do it.
Train
child labor, bonding time with dad. They can just specialize in DSTs. That's their thing.
That's right.
Free labor.
Well, listen, they're already running my home leagues with all my buddies. Okay. I don't have time for the home leagues. That's funny. But hey, it's a great idea. It's a great idea. All right. Corey Davis goes off the board to team 7. He's a guy that Ian Ritchie also loves, as his, what does he have? As his sleeper pick, Corey Davis with the Jets. Listen, I'm fine with Corey Davis being good, being the number 2 receiver there. As long as he's way behind Garrett Wilson. That's all I'm going to say about.
I think it's a great pick and a great sleeper, just because it falls into that bucket for me of we have very firm ideas about how things are going to shake out in an uncertain situation, just based on narrative. Aaron Rodgers likes his guys. It's going to be Lazard, but what if it's not? And now you've gotten the wide receiver 2 at pick 186, wide receiver 86 overall. You know, it's just one of those, we think we know something based off of very limited information. What if we don't?
What if we don't?
So great pick.
Agreed. All right. So we are coming up here. We've only got 4 picks left for our team. We only have 4 picks left here. So let's take a peek at what we're thinking. Anything in the chat for me? Nope, nothing in the private chat.
Not yet.
Not yet. All right, looking here.
Now there is, but
there we go. Perfect. Yeah, do that, and then we can explain it. Like that. Yeah, it's nice having our quarterbacks out of the way. Man, there's still some quarterbacks out there too. It was definitely the way to go, pushing it And looking too, I might have, the way that it's gone, I might have even pushed the number 2 QB a little bit longer if had I known, but again, you just don't know. I mean, we took QB 15, 4 rounds later, they're at QB 17, so it's like, if we would have known, maybe we would have waited another turn.
Yeah, but I've seen Daniel Jones, at least in the mid stakes. I don't know why all of a sudden, but he's started to go from like his home in the round 14 creeping up
You're
to
on the clock.
round 12. So I see him doing that quite a bit.
We're on the board here. So you go ahead and make those picks while I talk about Russell Wilson, who went right in front of us. He's a guy that I would have, if I would have known, I would have waited a little bit longer to take Russell Wilson. I know Jody Smith, Mr. Full-Time Fantasy himself, is big, and Russell Wilson's got him as QB 11. And Ian Ritchie also has him as his comeback player. Russell Wilson, comeback player this season. I can see it. I could also see it not happening. So, but again, it's QB 18 in round 17. I mean, that's pretty incredible. Okay, Chiefs defense, Chiefs kicker. Talk to the people about this pick.
Yeah, so this is in particular taking advantage of our unique rules here. So, the higher volatility, less predictable positions, kicker and DST, and so the opportunity. First of all, I think Chiefs kicker is a good pick. It's a high-powered offense that's going to score quite a bit, and you can count on that. But you also get that free look. So now, for my starting lineup for week 1, we've got our kicker and our defense. We can take a peek, and if the Chiefs just are able to dominate the Lions, then we can take advantage of that. If not, we cut it and we pick up another defense before the weekend. So it's just a little, we talked about this before, but not only are we're playing for points on a season-long basis to try to get into that tournament, we're playing for points because our season weekly average comes with us into that tournament, but also playing for the win. That first week is an all play.
Yes.
So all you got to do is get into the top half. So, those little edges for week 1 can be the difference between a win and a loss.
And that's so good, Jack. Like this stuff that because you're so locked into these styles, you came in second last year, stuff like that, right? So week 1, week 2, and the last week, I think, regular season week, I think are all play weeks. And so you just got to be in the top 6. And so to do something like this, where you can take the kicker and the defense and get the free look, one of them, if one of them goes off for 15 to 20, sweet, we keep it, we drop the other one, maybe we keep both. Like, you get that free luck to get you into the top 6. I think that's really, really cool. And really, really, little kind of life hack, little draft hack for people who don't know. Speaking of life hacks, Chad Schroeder says, "Can I hire your kids?" Chad, listen. Chad, you don't have to hire my kids. If you hire me, if you were to hire me, I would never play fantasy again, and I would just live off of your winnings. Okay? So you just hire me. How's that?
You'll take a very reasonable cut.
That's right. That's right. Fine, and we'll celebrate. I'll move to Omaha, and we'll have a great time. All right, it'll be good. But no, Chad's great. I'll see him in Vegas. I don't even know if Chad's going to Vegas. I'll see him in Kentucky for the Kentucky Fantasy Football State Championship every year. That's so much fun. I love hanging out with those guys over there. More high stakes grinders. So there goes Kyler Murray, QB 19. Ravens defense. We got two kickers off the board, and these are team kickers too. 2 team kickers off the board. Ravens went number 1 and Chiefs went number 2. Now, Jack, let me ask you, if we didn't have these rules with taking a kicker and being able to drop him after the game and all that, would you be into taking one of the top kickers, or would you kind of fade it?
No. In every other circumstance, I'm just streaming kickers, and it's just, of all the positions, of all the things you can invest, not only draft capital in, but like you were talking about, like mental investment. The payoff is just, at the end, it's a crapshoot. So no, this is definitely more of a play on the rules and less a draft strategy of valuing kicker.
Absolutely love it.
Even Justin Tucker. Sorry.
Even Justin Tucker. All right. So I think I can say this because Team 11. Sorry, I'm looking. Team 10's got 2 tight ends. Team 11 has 3 tight ends. Are we going naked tight end this draft? Or are we thinking, or is there someone that we're thinking about?
I'm comfortable doing that. I've got there are a couple options.
Yeah, I was gonna say we don't have to say specific names, but I just didn't know with our last two picks if we were leaning that way at all. I'll private chat you here.
Yep.
I'll make sure it's in the private chat too, and not the whole. For the whole
yeah.
I had to make sure I got off the comments section. Okay, but listen, I mean, we're coming down to our last two picks here. I got to be honest. I've done lots of co-owned drafts, and it's hard. It's hard to co-own a team. It's hard to co-own a team in a live draft, and it's hard to co-own a team in a live draft while you're streaming and you can't really talk about it. So I got to tell you, from all the kind of handicaps we had, I really like the way this turned. If you could kind of go back and change anything from strategy, from team build, from actual player picks, what would you kind of go back and change if anything?
I think I agree with you on the Harris pick. Rather than hoping A-Chain falls, I probably would have gotten aggressive and gone A-Chain over Harris. But I that single pick probably not going to make or break the team, and that's why that macro. Does it make sense? Are you taking advantage of your advantages, and are you limiting your downside on your disadvantages? And I think we did a good job of that. So, given the quality of players that we're playing against in this room, I think we at least held our own.
For sure. I mean, this room couldn't have been tougher. And again, we can maybe share some of this stuff afterwards, or like we promised the guys we wouldn't really talk about the teams and the first live stream and all that. But if they want to share this on Twitter, we'll share their board and all that type of stuff. This room is really difficult. So I will say that love this team. I mean, I've been gushing about it ever since we went Swift and White, and I've absolutely loved the way that it's turned out. Prescott, Gallup, Reed, that whole tier was great. If I was by myself, what I probably would have done, whether it was right or wrong, I probably would have gone Bijan over Adams. But then I probably would have regretted it with Hall falling to me at the 3-4. So maybe I would have passed on Hall, maybe not. So that would probably been the only, and then maybe if I would have, honestly, this is the problem with streaming and doing all that. If I would have seen A-Chain, like you said, over Harris, I probably would have pushed for that. Whatever, not going to make or break us. And if I would have known the Daniel Jones thing, if I would have known waiting 3 or 4, I mean, look, even now, there's only been 3 quarterbacks since we took the Daniel Jones. I maybe would have pushed that another round or two and been okay with Kyler Murray, Russell Wilson, and Rodgers, whatever, or Jones, So, but I mean, that's all small stuff. I love the build. I love the team. I think it's going to be unique to even I don't know how many of these you're doing, Jack, but I think it'll be unique to yourself too. In the fact that you probably won't have another draft where you do 5 running backs in the first, 9 or 10 rounds.
No, this is, that's kind of part of the reason I wanted to do this is I actually never co-managed a team with somebody else before. I'm usually too stubborn. And so
I tricked him, everyone. I tricked him.
I thought this would be a good time to, get off some of the players or get, exposure to people that I haven't necessarily gotten up until this point. So, mix it up a bit. And, this one wins it all. What a great story.
Oh, we'll have the video. We'll have the video proof for years.
What will be worse is if it would have won if it had Christian Watson. That will haunt you for years.
Well, what's even worse, and I can't speak too much about it, but I did a live stream of another main event 2 years ago on a different site, whatever, where someone in that draft won the entire main event. And we're in the live draft with them, live drafting, and it's the worst when the winner of the whole thing comes out of
your own
draft. Oh, the worst.
Oh my God. It again.
Come on. Freaking kidding me? Hunter Henry, you need your 4th tight end? Okay. Hold on a minute. I'm going to take you go ahead and pick whoever. I'm going to go off here for a second.
You go off.
This is a live stream I'm like, okay, I'm getting comfortable here. It's at the end. I'm going to be vulnerable, and we can talk about the tight end position. You know what? I hope this bites us. Whoever we take here, I hope helps us win it all. Because there's no way that Team 11 took Hunter Henry because they needed him. There was no way. 4 tight ends and a non-tight end premium. Oh my God, knock it off. Knock it off.
So we took Dawson Knox.
Fine. The tight end one on the Buffalo Bills. Fine.
Yep. So second or last pick, we can pick up another defense at this point. We can do, I like Cordarrelle Patterson, or we could double tap and go like Gesicki.
Let's go Gesicki. You know what? Let's go get. I like the Pats to tight ends, and I hope I'm doing this out of frustration. I hope Gesicki blows Hunter Henry out of the water. That's what you get. That's what you get. Unbelievable. So crazy. But anyways, I love it. Knox Gesicki. We were okay. Let's go naked tight end. Never mind. Let's take 3 of them. Okay. But for real though, like Hunter Henry, I think is probably going to be the guy there. But listen, who's the offensive coordinator? Jack, quick.
Bill O'Brien.
Last time he was there, hey, Hernandez, Gronk, 2 tight ends. Like they don't have receivers there. Juju Smith-Schuster stinks. Like they don't really have anything to talk about there. They could certainly go right back to that Ramondre Stevenson run game, 2 tight ends. So
they went out and got Gesicki.
And he's a receiver.
He's not the blocking tight end ever. Yeah, like he doesn't play tight end. So
correct.
The big negative on him has just been kind of training camp buzz. Seems to be, Hunter Henry has a much better connection at this point, but I'm willing to ignore training camp buzz, especially when I'm forced to do it because someone took Hunter Henry before I could take him. But also, we were talking Dawson Knox just the same. I think Kincaid is similar to Gesicki in this offense in that they're really playing different positions. So the fact that, like you said, Knox is the tight end one for the Bills until proven otherwise. And I think Kincaid's going to be the Cole Beasley plus.
Swole Beasley, we call him here in Western
like
New York. Swole Beasley.
I like it.
I completely agree. But Jack, this was so much fun, dude.
This was good.
I would say let's do it again, but it's expensive to do again. But hey, I'm more than happy to do it. Maybe we do the last main of the year and compare the ADPs. But,
there you go. I like that.
Are you going to be in Vegas this year? Yes, for these main.
Yep. Going to be out there.
Love it. So I know I'll see you there at the Circa Pool or wherever. There's so many different places at the MGM, Top Golf, wherever we're hanging out drafting.
Hey, the Circa Thursday night watch party is going to be.
I'll be there, and I am going to be there. I'm staying on site too because I have to be there for the Sunday games too because my flight leaves Sunday evening. So I want to just check out of my room, put the bags behind the counter, and go to the party, hang out, and then sleep the whole way home.
Solid plan.
But yes, this was so much fun. Thanks to all the guys who were in the draft who were willing to let us kind of show off the teams here.
Thank you, Roy, for
Roy,
Mish,
the man, Scott for letting us do
there
this too.
Yeah.
So this was so much fun. And hey, if this is the winner, hey, we're okay with the 10K Dominator. We'll take the 10K Dominator.
We'll settle.
We'll settle for that.
We're humble. We're humble.
That's right. Legion of Doom is humble for sure.
There you go.
But listen, for GrindTime, for myself, for Jack, thanks everyone for tuning in, and I will see you next week.